Really? That is the last time I'd buy a knockoff time turner. So this episode is devoted to Hermione Granger, the most awesome witch who ever lived. Well, unless you count Willow, and you know, all those other really cool witches like the Charmed ones. And she's still the coolest witch who ever lived, okay? I'm a great advocate of the clever woman. Maybe not like the fist pumping, like, I'm powerful woman, because I'd be rubbish at that. So I'm going to stick with clever. I'm afraid I'm terribly cliched. I've got that really cheesy story where I say, oh, I identified with Hermione so much growing up. I wasn't really the pretty girl, which meant that I didn't really fit in. Oh, but Hermione, she was so clever and I felt just like her. We all feel like it's our own individual story, but pretty much every girl I've met has the same story, so for some reason Hermione Granger is the ultimate clever girl. Now, I'm not talking Hermione in the films because, okay, I love Emma Watson, but I have enough confidence issues. I don't need to focus on this girl. But, you know, I mean, yeah, Hermione in the films is great. She's fun and, oh, isn't she pretty? And, oh, look, she read a book in the first film. She must be clever. Now, I love Hermione Granger from, I don't know if you can see the books, because that is the girl that I identify with. I'd like to take this opportunity to point out that J.K. Rowling is a genius, and, you know, this isn't, obviously, you know, I'm not the first person to say it, but she's tapped into a whole demographic who apparently didn't exist. And, you know, we want to see ourselves in the things we love, and which is why so many clever young girls have chosen to love Hermione Granger. When I started thinking about this, you know, I realised that there really aren't any. You know, it's easy to rhyme off clever guys like the Doctor. Sherlock Holmes is somewhere. You know, there are these guys. Males are allowed to be defined by their intelligence, and yet the only real fictitious character I can think of is Hermione, and even in the films, she's not as clever as she should be. I mean, a lot of Hermione was lost to reaction shots because you just have to squeeze it all in, and when you're condensing such amazing books, you end up with it all being about Harry Potter whining about his responsibilities. I mean, it's not like there isn't any source material. I mean, look at Irene Adler. In Sherlock Holmes, she is meant to be this amazing woman who is a worthy adversary for Sherlock Holmes. And yet Stephen Moffat, so many issues. She is absolutely secondary to Sherlock. He basically makes her sound dumb. Not to mention the fact that she's super weak in the show. It's ridiculous. She is just a sex figure, but that's another issue entirely. But I don't like that women aren't allowed to be seen as clever for some reason. There was this whole struggle to get females who could look after themselves. And, you know, you got really badass figures like Lara Croft and Ripley and Alien and all these powerful women. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I think that's great. It's nice to see a woman who can physically match the abilities of a man. But what I find strange is that there isn't a female hero who is defined by her intelligence. And to me it seems that is still seen as a very male trait to be intelligent. Yes, we do have intelligent female characters like Hermione. I'm trying to think of someone else other than Hermione and Irene Adler. River Song. River Song is intelligent. Even the Doctor says so, and if the Doctor says you're clever, you're clever. She can keep up with him. I mean, he's a Time Lord. He has a knowledge of all of the history of the entire universe. I mean, if anyone should be clever, if he thinks you're clever, then you're clever. And she can keep up with him. She can match his sciencey skills most of the time. And she can deduce things. And, you know, she's even been ahead of him. And yet, we always see her trying to catch up to the Doctor. It's never River who solves the problem at the end of the day. It's always the Doctor. And I know people will say, but it's Doctor Who. But it's not like we don't see the companion saving the day. I mean, in the name, you know, the name of the Doctor, Clara saves the Doctor. When River is first introduced, she dies to save the Doctor. You know, these women are allowed to make sacrifices for him. So why aren't they allowed to be more clever than him? I mean, it's not like there isn't any source material. I mean, look at Irene Adler. In Sherlock Holmes, she is meant to be this amazing woman who is a worthy adversary for Sherlock Holmes. And yet Stephen Moffat, he is absolutely secondary to Sherlock. He basically makes her sound dumb. Not to mention the fact that she's super weak in the show. It's ridiculous. She is just a sex figure, but that's another issue entirely. But I don't like that women aren't allowed to be seen as clever for some reason. Female characters, I do think that they are important, and I know I'm probably sounding like a bit of a feminist nut job, but I'm not, I promise. But I do think that women are still horribly portrayed in the media. It still feels very patriarchal, and I'd be sounding like one of those women who is out on a Saturday burning a bra in the middle of town, because that's not me. But I do believe that women are poorly represented on mainstream media, and I hate the idea that one day kids are going to grow up without a Hermione, thinking that that if you're not a kick-ass woman, then you're going to have to dumb down, basically. Because without Hermione, there seem to be two options presented to women. You can either be the kick-ass, powerful, gun-wielding, kind of butch hero, who is terrifying. The other option is being a dumbed down airhead who goes around chasing after men. And there doesn't seem to be that much in between without Hermione. And I honestly can't think of anyone in a really popular TV or film text that matches that intelligence who is a woman. And I don't just find that weird, I find that sad. But yeah, I mean, okay, all that being said, no, I want clever ladies. I want to see more of them. I would never be arrogant enough to call myself intelligent, because nah, I'm not clever. Well, I like to learn. I like to read, I like to write essays, I like doing clever things even if I'm not all that clever. And I want to see people like me. I want more Hermiones. I want to see girls who read. I want to see girls who solve the problem by themselves, who save the day with their brains rather than their boobs. I just want a clever lady. Is that too much for to ask? To see people like me on the telly and in cinemas, and I don't understand why that doesn't sell. Did you get this week's pun? It's a drunk giraffe on top of the TARDIS. Yeah, I went there. There'll be an Easter egg of some kind in this vicinity somewhere, and I'm going to ask you guys to see if you can find it and write it in the comments down below. And also, leave any comments on